empty the chamber on them. And how do you do that? We're 6 seconds, 8 point beat, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order post-mortem Indiana edition. This was a massacre of the highest proportion. We knew it would be. Indiana does a lot of things poorly that Ohio State does well, so it was a strength versus weakness type exercise, and a lot of bad blood between Kevin Wilson and Indiana, so we knew they were going to run it up, and we had a nice feel-good story with Cam Babb getting his first career touchdown today. So we're going to get into all of this and the three things that we learned from this Indiana game, all of which will help us beat the Michigan Wolverines in just 2 short weeks. With that being said, as always, we are thankful for and grateful for you guys. Thank you guys for subscribing to the page. We have just hit a new high mark on this page. Our subscribers are growing on BuckeyeScoop.com as well. Thank you guys for all that outstanding holiday gift coming up. I know Black Friday's coming up. You guys need a gift. BuckeyeScoop.com for the biggest Ohio State fans as we approach the biggest stretch of the season. With that being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend at Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you?
Doing great. What a terrific game today. Learned a lot of things, saw a lot of things, and advanced to 10-0, which is really rare for an Ohio State football team. And I thought it was just an all-around really quality effort on both sides of the ball, and another step forward closer to that ultimate goal of a national championship. So I thought it was a really good day, really exciting day, and lots of fun watching the Buckeyes.
Yeah, it was a great game. It was a snowy game, so the weather was it wasn't as bad as last week, the howling winds, but it wasn't perfect. It was chilly out, but the team they gutted through it. We had a lot of guys that sat this one out. Trey Henderson, DeJuan Jones, some guys that we're going to need for Michigan in a couple of weeks. Mayan got carted off. So that was kind of scary. It sounds like it's not too bad with Mayan. He should be back for Michigan. But what were your general thoughts on the effort? We'll start offensively. CJ Stroud had another great day. We ran the ball for over 300 yards. But what was your initial takeaway from the offense?
Well, I thought the offense really did a lot of nice things, and if you're a regular listener to our podcast, we kind of laid out for you what things that Ryan Day had kind of learned from that horrible debacle of a Northwestern game, and I really feel like that was kind of a defining moment where him and Kevin Wilson and Justin Fry kind of came together. They learned some things. They put those things into place, and we saw them play out on the field, kind of pretty much like we told you that they would. So, no, I thought it was from the offensive standpoint, I know it's Indiana. I know they're not great, but I thought we did a lot of really, really good things, little small things that are going to help us, down the road. And defensively, we're playing like a great defense should, which is we're making it very difficult for bad teams to move the ball on us, not giving up a lot. Still have a little bit of concern with the secondary. I should say probably more than a little concern with the secondary, but all in all, a good defensive effort. Special teams chipped in with a punt block as well. So all around good game, great game to move on. Great game to set up this 3-game stretch to the Michigan game. So very, very pleased.
Yeah, I thought offensively our guys did a great job. DeJuan, it was very interesting. I was at the stadium. I watched him for every moment of pregame workouts. He went through the pregame where they're not in pads. They just do kind of a dynamic, high knee leg kick, like warm up. It's about a 15-minute warm up where they're just out there in like sweat jackets and hoodies and that kind of thing. Then he came out in full gear, participated with the first team offense through every drill. He was running as a first team right tackle. Every snap with the first team offense, he was playing right tackle. And then the game started, and all of a sudden he was nowhere to be found, and Josh Fryer stepped in at right tackle. And I thought he did a really good job. I mean, for a guy, granted, he's not playing Georgia or LSU, he's playing Indiana, but, he's still got to block who's in front of you. First career start, first time, really playing in a every down role where he's not the heavy 6 tight end that they've been using when he dresses in number 41. But it really, I thought he really showed some good athleticism. We're going to go right into the film room right now. One of the things that me and you have been screaming about for the last, 2 years is that we need to run more tempo. So we're going to break down this first play. So CJ, Ryan Day has made an effort with Kevin Wilson to go more tempo. Now, what does tempo mean? Tempo means hurry up offense. Hurry up offense is, they get the ball snapped. It's down. CJ claps quick. We get the ball. There's no calls. There's no adjustments. There's no audibles. There's no looking back at the sideline. You just go with the look. And the problem with that is, as you watch this, these guys aren't. I mean, the three technique isn't even in a stance. He's not even lined up. These guys are trying to figure out where to go. So while they're doing that, we're literally snapping the ball. So you already have guys like he has no leverage. He's standing straight up, so he's gonna get beat. Josh Fryer climbs up. I mean, really, this is literally a perfect call versus a perfect view as to why you do hurry up, because this is free yardage. So Josh Fryer, again, he's our right tackle for this game. DeJuan's out. He's a fabulous athlete. He'll likely be our starting right tackle next season. Climbs the second level. It's a great seal here. Really good feet. This is it's kind of it's a tough look for Emeka, because Emeka is supposed to be cracking the nickel. He lets him go. Cade Silver picks him up, and Emeka climbs to the second level. I think a guy that does a great job here by kind of not blocking someone is Julian Fleming. Reminds me of Jim Tressel back in the day when he would coach punt return. If in doubt, don't. If there's any doubt, if you're going to hit the guy in the back, don't hit him. So Julian does a good job here of recognizing that if he does go on this guy and he does go to block him, this is a potential penalty that could, you'll get booed out of the stadium for bringing back this great early run. Mayan was buzzing all pregame. You could tell that he was excited to carry the load. I think he's one of the MVPs of the offense. He was fantastic today. Here's the next play, a little reverse pass. But Nevada, what did you see here out of this first tempo run that we were able to get done with? Really, I mean, mine never. He doesn't even get touched until he runs out of bounds.
Well, tempo is my number one key, and I think it's going to be the story of the Ohio State Michigan game this year. Much like the story, the 1 versus 2 game that you played in was the 5 wide and the empty sets. I think this one's going to be dictated by tempo. I've been calling for it. Tempo is almost like a cheat code with the Ohio State offense. When they ran tempo today, they were virtually unstoppable. You present so many different challenges for the defense. The defense can't substitute. The defense really can't do very many. They've got to stay with a base look. They can't do any exotic looks. And you catch these guys off guard, get them into mismatches. So been calling for tempo. It was predicting tempo, and sure enough, we came out and ran tempo to great effect. And it's my number one reason, and number one thing that I think that Ryan Day learned from last week, and number one thing that I think he's going to be applying towards the Michigan game. And I had told everybody last week, bet Ohio State, lay the 40 points. Another week time, I think I'm about 10-0 betting on Ohio State, or maybe not betting on Ohio State this year. So got a pretty good handle on the Buckeyes, and tempo was a big part of the reason they covered, and thank goodness for that.
Yeah, I love tempo. I think it's something that's great. It can go on the road as well, in noisy environments. We ran it at Penn State in 2012, the loudest crowd in the entire college football. And it's great because you don't have to make calls. There's no audibles. There's no looking back. There's no miscommunication potential. It's just a call and go and block it and just kind of let the chips fall where they may. And a lot of times they fall in the offense's favor. I'm going to go to another play that I really like this. I'm a big fan, and this is something I learned from Tom Herman. These nice clean boxes. It's not an accident that you have your two field means the wide side of the field receivers split out almost to their sideline. You take these guys with you. You got Marv over here. He's going to draw the attention of the safety, and then you have a nice easy box here for CJ and Dallin Hayden. You kind of loop Cade back in to cut the edge. Just a nice full zone, well executed. And it's just really stressful on the defense. You see the safety bailing deep to help out on these two, on Emeka. And when you do that, and again, this is good. This is just film study by Kevin Wilson and his offensive staff. Kudos. They knew this guy was going to bail out. You call this play. You bring Cade back. Cade forces these linebackers, in case it's a linebacker, to come here. Cade cleans up the edge. CJ, with the pull read, hands it to Dow, and there's just nobody there. Again, that's this great scheme. Again, the safety's bailing, and again, that's why I love when you have these nice wide, clean boxes. And honestly, I love leaving Cade out, split out wide. And then, and motioning him back. They've motioned him back more than I think I've ever seen a tight end get motioned at Ohio State. because he is versatile. He's a great athlete. He can handle it mentally, and he does a good job stealing the edge. So you kind of make him a battering ram on the backside. Climbs up in there. He's just kind of looking for wherever he can fit into this scheme. But Nevada, I thought that the running game got going a little bit today, which felt good after last week's debacle, 300 yards. What was some other keys that you saw today in the running game? You mentioned tempo. I believe your next key is constrain. Talk a little bit about constrain in the running game.
Well, I mean, they were running constraint that, if you look back on that play that you were just showing there, that's the same action that they ran last week with C.J. Stroud, where he kept it and then followed Cade Stover around the corner for that big 41-yard run. So, you're starting to run more quarterback, keeps that are, or zone reads that are actually reads. That first. Secondly, they ran a reverse off that same action as well earlier in the game. So, like, you're running some reverses, you're running some counters, you're running some misdirection, you're running some constraint. And I think that's the second reason why all of a sudden the OSU, running game pops off for the best game of the year. They start doing those things. Again, that's another thing that was a kind of a consensus that the Justin Fry and Kevin Wilson and Ryan Day came to after the Northwestern game. And Ryan Day said as much. He said, hey, I think we found something with this quarterback run. And sure enough, today, C.J. Stroud almost housed another one. He stepped out of bounds, but he was almost gone on another run. So, he's not a particularly elegant runner. He's not a particularly, but he's willing. I mean, he dropped the shoulder, tried to run over a guy. I think he's actually enjoying the running. I think it kind of gives him a different dimension to his game. And, I think that that's going to be a big key to why the Ohio State offense operates, even more efficiently coming down the stretch, was these constraint plays, these misdirection plays, and these inside zones where the quarterback's presenting a viable threat around the goal line. So, yeah, another big step forward for the OSU offense, and just a great job by Ryan Day.
Yeah, I think CJ, CJ is figuring out that if he runs the ball, scrambles, shortens the chains, it makes his job much easier. It's a lot easier to convert on a 3rd and 4 than it is a 3rd and 10. Go take those 6 yards. If they run off in coverage, if you have a lane, go take it, slide, step out of bounds. Don't take a hit, but it makes it much more difficult for teams to defend. So good to highlight Jack Sawyer here. 2 sacks today by Jack. He's been somewhat snake bitten. He's gotten close a lot, but that only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Finally got home to the quarterback a few times. Good look here. They're showing the 6 up, the cover 0 look. Obviously, this is troublesome for the offensive line. They have a back here, so they could pick it all up. But here you end up having a man. You're just running cover 1 man. You got, I believe they have Steele. Tommy takes the back here, tackles him, takes him to the ground, which you can do within 5 yards. Steele is spying the quarterback. They put in the speedy quarterback, but this is just a nice twist by Jack and Teron Vincent here at the top. Teron is what we call the penetrator, and Jack is the looper. He loops inside. This is really poor by the right tackle and right guard for Indiana. If my right tackle sat like this with a 3 technique, I'd fire him or I'd make him run laps. But this is terrible by the right tackle. But that's not Jack's fault. If you watch the right tackle's reaction, it's hilarious because he gets beat and then he just stands here, doesn't turn, doesn't try to find anything, and Jack kills the quarterback. But this is good to see. Again, JT Tuimoloau had his big game at Penn State. Jack and Lathan Ransom will probably be the 2 defensive players of the week here. Nice to see, another guy get home. I appreciate that. Nevada, your 3rd key was the exotic fronts, the exotic blitzes, the twists. We saw a lot of that today. We saw some different Jack looks that we hadn't seen yet, which is where they put JT Tuimoloau. He bumped down to 3 technique a couple times. Talk a little bit about some of the exotic fronts that we saw today and how that'll affect us stopping the Michigan running game.
Yeah, well, Knowles loves to roll those blitzes, and I think today he was starting to roll out a little bit more. We've been hearing that they're only showed about 25-30% of the OSU defense. Well, today, when they needed to dial up some blitzes, they're dialing them up, and there's little subtle things like they're reading the running back, and the running back stays in, then the other guy stacks behind him and then blitzes behind him in that green blitz, or what Jack was doing there and stunting from the outside. I just think they're starting to show more of these looks. I think they're going to really confound Michigan with these run blitz looks and force Michigan to pass. And Michigan, if you watch Michigan play, Michigan is not very proficient at passing the football.
No.
And so if you can take away the run and make them pass, then they're really playing left-handed. And Harbaugh doesn't like the pass. He doesn't like the pass, and so it's almost kind of a double whammy. You're taking away what he wants to do and what he likes to do, and what they're not very good at doing. So I think the Knowles exotic blitzes, especially early downs and the run blitzing, to take them away, put them into these passing situations, make them pass. Third reason why Ohio State's going to beat up on Michigan in a couple of weeks, and a couple of things that Knowles has been saving. We've been building up to this moment and saw a little bit of it today, but great effort by Jack Stroud. We've been telling everybody, just be patient. The sacks will come, and sure enough, they did. He played a great game, and as you mentioned, him and Ransom will definitely be defensive players of the game.
Yeah, Lathan Ransom is a guy that didn't even start the first game, and he's a really good shot at being a first-team All-American this year. Super productive, blocked a punt today. He kind of like a Mike Doss, Will Allen guy where the ball just kind of finds him. He's an impact guy, he's a blitzer. Jim Knowles, most importantly, Jim Knowles loves him, which means that he's productive in practice as well. He talks about him a lot, glowingly. And it basically took Josh Proctor's spot, which is part of, when you're at Ohio State, that's like the thing where, like, with DeWan is, Josh Fryer looked really good today. So I don't know if there's a rotation there. I don't know if DeWan gets the full plate of plays back, but Josh Fryer, I think, relieved a lot of people's fears about our tackle situation next year, because I think him and Donnie Jackson will be just fine at left and right tackle next year. Josh is a tremendous athlete, really, really smooth pass set. And granted, I know it's Indiana. He's not playing Georgia. He's not playing LSU. I get it. But you got to start somewhere. And he wasn't noticed, which when you're a first, lineman making your first start, that's about all you really want. So congrats to him. And obviously, this was the feel-good play of the day. Cam Babb, a kid who's torn his ACL 4 times, he has an enormous knee brace on his knee, which it just made me laugh out loud because, it literally, he wears it outside of his pants, which I don't know how you could ever do that, but he did it. He literally has like this gargantuan thing. I always put it under, I'd put it under my pants so my pants can kind of hold it in place, but he had this thing on. We just run a quick little sprint out protection. This is almost like a super duper sprint out because we have a tight end front side. Normally you just have the tackle and then you have your back cutting the edge. Everybody just kind of takes a step and turns back. You kind of waterfall back here. It's basically a one-man route. They got G back here doing some whatever. And, Cam's just going to take it here, bust out. And again, like there couldn't be a better play to dial up for a short area touchdown. It's very hard to cover, especially on the left hash. You have no help out here. A lot of field for that cornerback to cover. Obviously, he probably had no idea about the situation with Cam and how he's been a 2-year captain. This is his first game. He's been activated and actually able to play in. He had a setback in camp. So this was a wonderful moment. Nice little easy throw by CJ, a little sprint out. Nevada, you mentioned you thought CJ was late. I agree with you on that, but talk me through this play. I'm just going to run it through and talk me through it.
Well, like you said, it was a play that was set up, for Cam Babb to get his touchdown. But, I was sitting with a guy today who coaches quarterbacks for a living, and he was like, CJ really likes to see those receivers' eyes. And I kind of asked him what he meant by that. And he's just like, you'll notice, if you run it back to the top of the screen where, Cam's got the leverage on the guy, and you think the ball will come out right now.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's like, look how long it takes. It's like 2 more steps where he goes out there and throws it. And it's like, that's the difference. He can get away with it now in college, but that's something he's going to have to work on at the next level for sure, because you're not going to be able to get away with that. And I just thought it was a really interesting observation about CJ in terms of, he's like, he doesn't like to throw guys open. He likes to see them open, then throw them. But I thought that the Cam Babb play kind of brought that home. And again, not a dry eye in the place for that. I'm shocked he played. I've seen him walking around there with that knee brace on, and I did not believe that there was any chance he would ever get into any action with that knee brace on. And sure enough, he was able to get out there and score a touchdown. And boy, that was a great moment for the entire team and a great moment for Buckeye Nation.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it was recruited in 2017, so that seems. I mean, that was USC Cotton Bowl JT Barrett game, so that seems like an eternity ago. But what a kid! What a great family! Great moment for his parents. That receiving room. I mean, obviously he's a two-time captain who's ever played, so that shows what the team thinks of him to vote him a captain when he's gone through just absolute hell. One of those things where I'm sure anytime he feels any twinge, he's like, "Did I do it again?" I couldn't imagine tearing my ACL 4 times. I mean, that's just and not giving up, not taking a medical. I mean, most guys take a medical after that, but he's a special kid. It was great for the team. It was great for morale. It was great by Ryan Day to get that schemed up. I mean, again, it's a one-man route. I mean, he's got to win a lot of grass out there for him to win. So it was really nice to see. So Nevada, in closing, what do you look for this week? We have Maryland. They got smoked by Penn State today. I don't think that'll be much of a challenge unless we have some sort of hurricane or something show up or some superstorm hit the coast. But I think it's going to be another 56-10 or nothing or one of those. But just give me a couple of the things that you really liked about today and what to look forward to this week leading into Maryland.
Well, I just want to see more of the same. I want to see more improvement on the run game. I want to see CJ stay clean on the passing game. Would love to see Jackson Smith-Njigba take a few snaps this week, but that may be too much to ask for. Be interesting to kind of monitor the health of some of these guys, coming through. Just check DeWand out, check out the running back situation, and defensively, just see if they can tighten some things up in the defensive secondary because Maryland can throw it a little bit. So, I think it's an important game. I think it's an important game for us to take the next step. I think it's going to be a huge challenge for Day to keep the guys focused on this one with so much looming the week after. But I think he's going to be able to do it. And like I said, it's going to be a very interesting game. It's not going to be one of those games that we're going to watch and say we didn't learn anything. We're going to learn a lot in these next 7 days. And I can't wait for the Maryland game to watch and see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think you got to stay hot. Again, this team, a lot of people lost to the 06 team. Heisman front runner at quarterback. Soft schedule leading up to Michigan. I think that we had a poor game that was kind of it was literally exact parallel to Northwestern. Bad weather, barely beat Illinois 17-10. The next week we played Northwestern. A week before the Michigan game, we beat them 52-10. Let's destroyed them. So I look for a big number against Maryland. I'm sure Ryan Day wants to come in hot, come in guns blazing, show a lot of looks, show a lot of stuff that Michigan has to get ready for. I think Michigan's a pretty simple study. I watched their game tonight, and they run the ball. They're not very good throwing the ball. They don't have the dynamic skill guys that we do. They don't have a Marvin Harrison or an Emeka that we have to really worry about. Their quarterback is just average, about a 50% thrower, but they can run the ball. That's what they do, and frankly, I don't think they're as good as they were last year. I don't think it's anywhere close. They don't have the Aiden Hutchinson, the number 2 overall pick at defensive end. But it's still Michigan. But I think getting them at home is huge. I think that this is a different animal in the horseshoe than we are on the road. We've just steamrolled and buzzsawed everybody we've seen in the horseshoe so far. The guys come out ready to go. They're comfortable. I think that makes a huge difference. Nevada, do you think home field this year will make a pretty sizable difference as opposed to going up to Ann Arbor last year?
Well, I think it's going to make all the difference in the world. I think the game's a completely different game if we were playing the game in Ann Arbor. And, I think that's history has proven that out. I think when you see teams like Penn State, when they play at Michigan, they just completely fold. And when they play them in Happy Valley, they're like Supermen. So people want to poo-poo the home field advantage thing. I think the home field advantage thing is absolutely enormous. And especially for a Michigan team this year who has played no one, and every game that they've had against a team with a pulse has been at home. So they've played nobody on the road. They are not going to be ready for what's waiting for them here in 2 weeks in Columbus. I'm telling you, it's going to be a big thing. And especially for a running team, if you run the football like that and it's predicated upon getting off the ball fast and dominating the line of scrimmage, the noise is really going to make it hard to do that. It's going to make it hard to communicate. It's going to make it hard not to jump offside, get procedure penalties, get motion. And I just think I think Ohio State's going to have a great day, and I'm expecting a big victory.
Yeah, I think Jim Knowles will have something served up for him in the shoe. Against Northwestern, and they were kind of gashing us. He got pissed off. He started run blitzing a lot of exotic stuff. He's trying to go for some sound stuff, but man, he was trying to get some tackles for loss, get him behind the chains. I think, when you know that a team can't throw the ball and you got to stop the run, if you get them to 2nd and 14, you get a couple TFLs, that's a huge difference in their mentality, in their morale, in that sideline. Because when you know a team can't really throw it, it's like just get them behind the chains, and they're probably going to be punting. It is what it is, because they don't have the skill guys out wide. They don't have a guy that is an intimidator like a Marvin Harrison Jr., who you have to double team and roll coverage to. And you saw the Dallin Hayden touchdown that we just broke down. They got to go out and help out on Emeka. They have to. They can't just leave him out there in the slot with all that grass. And, Marvin Harrison's getting double teamed at the bottom of the screen. So the middle of the field is wide open for Dallin Hayden to basically run in untouched the end zone, from 10, 15 yards out, whatever it was. But it was down that low red area. And I think that's part of why you recruit these great receivers is they're huge assets in the passing game, but man, when you put them out wide, they really clean up that running game. They clean up those lanes. There's not all that congestion. There's not that heavy loaded box where you're running into this, miserable front where, you have to block everybody and the running back has to run a guy over to get yardage. With the stuff we did with Dallin and with Mayan, I mean, they ran for chunks of yards untouched. So that's thanks to the wide receivers, because they have to pay tribute to those guys. Because if you don't, they're going to eat you alive, and they're going to go off for $175 and 3 touchdowns like Marvin's done a couple times this year. So, any closing thoughts about it? We're going to wrap this thing up. We're going to have a ton of coverage this week on BuckeyeScoop.com. But any closing thoughts to our listeners, and we will get these cranked up daily for the rest of the week.
Not just that we're having such a great time on the message board. I mean, so much fun. So many great active threads going now, and I'd really encourage anybody who's got an interest in Ohio State football, want to become a little bit more knowledgeable fan, join us at BuckeyeScoop.com. You don't really know what you're missing. It's so much fun on our premium message board, and would love to see you there.
Appreciate it, brother. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up. Thank you, guys. I enjoyed meeting a bunch of you at the Horseshoe. It was great seeing you guys. Thank you to the folks. I got some really kind words. Really enjoy the podcast. So thank you guys. You guys know who you are. I generally wear this, so I'm recognizable at the games. So I always love talking to you guys. I always love getting feedback from you guys. So we appreciate that. We do everything we can to continuously improve these episodes. So thank you for that. If you could, leave us a like down below. Subscribe to the page. Subscribe to BuckeyeScoop.com, the top source for premium Ohio State inside information. We would love to have you as our guests. We'll take good care of you. We have a blast on there. We have an incredible community. I think you guys would really enjoy it. Comment down below. I forgot to do this. Down below this video, I need your game MVPs. Was it Mayan Williams? Was it CJ Stroud? Cam Babb? Was it on defense? I need an offensive and a defense one from all of you guys. Was it Jack Sawyer? Lathan Ransom? We had some guys that were really doing some good stuff. Tommy Eichenberg was showing up big time today. So comment down below. Want to hear it. And what do we need to continue to improve on to beat the Blue Bellies, to beat Michigan in 2 short weeks? We're going to have the revenge match that we've all been waiting for. So appreciate you guys. As always, I hope you guys have a great Sunday. Thank you guys so much. Go Bucks. Thank you, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.